My thanks, Ibrahim. So loads of meetings, a lot of discussions, lots of travel, some would say as well. We continue with the evaluation of the performances of the governors and also the president in the first 1 month. Joining us from Abuja studio is a professor of political science, Professor Jideofor Adibe. We'd like to thank you for joining us at this time on the program. And let's ask an overview, just before we take a break, if you can briefly tell us your perception of the policy direction of the Buhari administration in the last 30 days?
Well, thank you very much. It's really difficult to talk about policy direction because the Federal Executive Council is not in place. We haven't even seen appointment of key aides, even those that do not require confirmation by the National Assembly. So it's difficult to talk about policy direction. We just have to believe that is likely to continue in the three areas he said his regime will focus on: improving the economy as he sees it, security, and then fighting corruption. So we still expect that those will constitute the three main themes of his government going forward.
Does that mean that the country is in limbo? We don't have a policy direction at this time. I mean, the nation still awaits the list of cabinet members from ministers from the presidency. Are you also perhaps optimistic of the makeup? Do you think it will have more technocrats than what some have called mere politicians?
Well, let me say that it's not really quite correct to say that the country is in limbo. All over the world, the essence of the civil service, actually the civil service that drives most of the policies. So we still have the directors, the direct DGs of parastatals, the permanent secretaries, and the civil service, doing most of the jobs. But it is actually when we get the Federal Executive Council in place that we can start to talk about new policy directions. Because policy directions, policies are not just pronouncements. They have to be backed up with timelines and budgetary allocations. One of the things actually I will be looking at is the implementation of policies that were already budgeted for and are supposed to be under implementation. In January this year, for example, an NGO called Paradigm Leadership Support Initiative came out with an audit report. It said it monitored 19 federal government projects in 12 states of the Federation. And from its report, out of the 19 projects monitored, 15 were either not executed or completely abandoned. So these are the kind of things we will be interested in looking at if, for example, we are to get a cabinet. About the mix, whether technocrats or politicians, I think it's always a good thing to have a mix of both. And even if you get the best people and the president does not change his mindset because he's the one who sets the pace, he's the leader, then things will not change very much. So it is important to get people who can do the job, but the person who has the final say on whether the job will be done in accordance to the prescriptions of the experts will also be willing to shift grounds.
Professor Adibe, let me quickly ask you on insecurity, the issue of insecurity, also one of the cardinal points the president hopes to curb, and that is your thoughts or your view on the ruga settlement. Do you think that this is the solution to the farmer herders crisis?
Well, at this point in time, because the government has not really shown very good skills in being sensitive to its environment, whatever plan it comes out as a solution to the farmers' herders conflict at this point in time, it's likely not to get the buy-in of Nigerians because the atmosphere is so much fused with suspicion and mistrust. And that's partly the fault of the government. I say this for some reasons. For example, there has been this general perception that the headsmen are treated with kid gloves because they share the same ethnicity as the president. Of course, the government has strongly denied that. But then, shortly after the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, accused the government of Fulanization and Islamization agendas, Barely 3 days after, the government came up with announcement that it was going to set up a radio station that will broadcast exclusively in Fulfulde. So the timing again was wrong. Not even up to that again, then came out the idea of Ruga farm settlement. And then in the southeast, the Mieti Allah was talking about setting up a Fulani vigilante.
Unfortunately, Professor Adibe, that's so much we can take, but we would really like to thank you for joining us to get your thoughts on this, and we know we'll talk to you in the coming days on some of the issues.